So if you're leading this experience, there's a couple things that you need to know to help bring everybody in your family in. Everything you would need to know is written in this leader document, and so you would basically just read what we wrote. But the teaching of the melodies is what will ensure the success of this project. So in the folder that you downloaded, you have a recording of me singing each of these melodies. But let's work on them together right now so that you feel more confident about being able to lead them. Your body language also will help in that moment as well, just to be able to communicate when the melody goes up and then when the melody goes down. So just pay attention to how I'm using my body and teaching you right now so that you can maybe mimic some of that and teach it to the people in your friends and family. So you have two main melodies. You have the first melody, our melody of rejoicing, and our second melody, a melody of despair. There's also a third melody that's optional for those who really want an extra bit of musical complexity, but I would say for an average family, start with just those two melodies. These two melodies will weave through the story, and you'll see very clearly where it says, okay, sing melody 1, now sing melody 2. So melody number 1, our melody of freedom and rejoicing. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya ya ya, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la ya la la la. That's the first melody. You could do it slow, you could do it fast, you can do it with a rhythm underneath. Ya la 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 ya, ya la ya ya la ya la la ya ya ya, la 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 la, ya la la ya la ya la la la. So you can do that in many different ways, but that's the first melody. Our second melody is a little bit more dark, a little bit more somber. That's our melody of despair, our melody of slavery. Ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya ya. So there's also that optional third melody for the really musically inclined. I think this melody is beautiful, and it really adds a richness to these three parts, but also understand that not every group will get that on the first year. You might decide to say, okay, the first year we're only going to do the first two melodies and make sure everyone has that, but then the next year you do this, we can add this third additional melody, and it adds another level of depth. So the third melody sounds like this. Ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. And that will weave its way through the other melodies. And if you hear all three parts together, you'll hear this one creeping through all of the spaces of rest in the other parts. You're learning this right now on camera. This is going to be their first time hearing this melody. So they're going to need a little bit extra support. You might need to do the melody a couple times, but have patience and remember that they're still new to this melody, and so you're going to have to really be there to support and to elevate them when they might be losing their way. You're like the Moses of your Seder. So when you notice that there are some people who are kind of straggling or not necessarily keeping to the beat, your job is to say, okay, keep this rhythm, or help lift up the melody and bolster the melody. It's going to be your job to stay connected and stay focused and remind people of why we're doing this. It's going to be a little complicated at first, but if you stick with it, then I guarantee these melodies get deeper and deeper with time, and you'll really develop an actual tradition in your family's Seder. The purpose of these melodies is so that they feel like they've been done your whole lives. They're not necessarily new melodies like you would hear on the radio. They're melodies that feel like they're steeped and they're deep in you already, and hopefully that's what will be communicated to the people in your family and your friends who are there with you as well. So learn the melody well enough as if you've been singing it your whole lives, and then you can be able to communicate it as such so that people really feel like, oh, this is something that I can really do. Yes, we have the sheet music here in front, so anybody can actually read along if they're able to read music, but what's really important is you being a strong leader and really knowing it. So that might mean, running it a couple times beforehand, maybe singing it to a couple friends before the Seder even starts, but making sure that you know the melodies really well is gonna, guarantee success for this. So there are some people who are gonna really grab onto the rhythmic part of it. So their people can hold down the rhythm the whole time. That's a really important job. If they're not the ones who love to sing, at least they have a voice and they have a place that they can participate. Now, if you want to have two separate parts being sung at the same time, my recommendation is actually that everybody around the table be able to sing both parts. Then you split the participants in half and have one half of the table sing one part and the other half sing the other part. I recommend that people sing the same part who are sitting next to each other, because we get support by leaning into the people who know the melody a little bit better and they're sitting next to us. So if you split it up and have half the table singing one thing and half the table singing another thing, that will actually increase the likelihood that this will sound really good. When the actual Maggid is happening, when the telling of the story is happening, I recommend the melodies be sung as a nigun, a wordless melody. So like, ya la 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 la. But it's also helpful to learn these melodies with words. And so we gave suggestions for words that can be used throughout the Seder, not necessarily in the retelling, but let's say you get to the part of the Seder when you would sing Avadim Hayinu, you would use this melody this year. Avadim Hayinu Lefaro B'Mitzrayim. You would use that melody throughout the Seder so that by the time you got to the retelling of the story, people already have a familiarity with it. And so each of the three melodies have three different texts that can be used, and that actually will help everyone remember the melodies better.
Be happy in the here and now. I'll show you if you don't know how.
So the last point I think I'd like to make is that while I'm really proud of the work that we've done here, and this is a really creative retelling of the story of Passover, this might not necessarily work for your family and your Passover experience. But what you can do is just take the melodies, learn the melodies, internalize them, and then bring them into your Passover experience and be creative and explore with it and have fun. I would go through your Haggadah and find places where perhaps you can weave in a melody of freedom, and then find another place where you weave in a melody of despair and slavery. And then the most important part is, where can you find ways to weave these two melodies together and bring them close to one another? That's going to be the place where really everybody in your Passover Seder has a voice and has a meaningful experience. So I hope this goes great for you and your family. I'm really excited about bringing this to my family this year. Please reach out with any questions, with any comments and feedback. I'd love to know how it goes for you. And I really hope that this is a meaningful and powerful experience for you and your family. Happy Passover.
Let's light up the world.